Hello.
Oh, cool glasses.
Wait a minute, something's going on here.
Okay.
I know what it is. Just something else in the background was going. Hello, Kamila.
Hello, Annie.
Nice to see you in Poland there.
Yes. In fact, I'm in the countryside now.
Nice. Yes.
Because normally I live in the city, but now I am in a small cottage in the forest.
Are you there for the weekend?
Well, I have been here since Sunday, and I'm planning to stay one more week because it's really, I don't know, helpful. I can work from here, and
Yes. Yes.
yeah, it is good for from different aspects.
Well, thank you for agreeing to have an interview. And what we'll do is we'll publish the interviews in 2 different journals. So Humans of Gestalt will be in the December journal and it'll be in the next journal as well for GANZ. Okay? Is that okay?
Okay.
Because at first the editor was asking me, was I going to put the 2 interviews together into one paper? And I said no. It's easier to just refresh. I'm going to ask you just a similar things and just see what comes out.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
You're feeling good? Yeah. Good.
Well, I'm still, it's not that I want to shake it off, but I had a former meeting, like for an hour, with my colleagues, and one of them is from Belarus, and I don't know if you are aware of the situation, political situation in Belarus. So
yes.
She's a therapist there, and and we've been in touch for a while, and the situation here there is really getting worse. Therapists are being imprisoned. There's some of whom I know. So this is my background right now.
That you bring with you, yeah.
Quite overwhelming conversation, and helplessness too, but we want to help, to find some ways of help with some international colleagues.
Yes, it's only through Gestalt that I've got some connections that I've ended up with knowing someone on Facebook that I don't really know, but who knows someone who I know that then has been posting a lot of the political material and the unrest. But I wasn't aware that that therapists were being jailed.
Tortured, people are tortured. Last week, a man was killed for having a flag in his hand, holding a flag in his hand, terrible things. It's a horror there, really, and lots of pain.
And I want to acknowledge that Poland's got its own pains at the moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but still I feel in a more comfortable position, and I feel really like in a comfort zone, even though we are like neighbors.
Yeah. I was referring to the abortion laws. Which.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge I'm here in Australia, in a very privileged bubble. We don't have coronavirus, and we're free to wave flags, and we're free to choose what to do with our own bodies. Yeah, and that is true. That's different levels.
I mean, it is for some reasons, Annie, it's easier for me to connect with this pain in Belarus than with what is going on here in Poland. I'm still struggling with it. Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, I don't know. Mm. Mm.
Thank you for sharing, and I'm sorry that it's impacting.
Mm.
And I'm not sorry in another way, because you're really showing me the impact directly, which I wasn't feeling through the Facebook. All right, so I'll just start.
Yeah.
And what led you or inspired you to begin this project with Heather?
Well, the very idea of interviewing people. Heather wrote one day on the IAGT listserv, and that she wants to do some kind of interviews, and since this is my daily routine in my profession as a sociologist, it felt good, exciting to get to know people more in person, deeply. So that was my, immediate reaction to her email.
Yes, yes, that makes sense, because you're a sociologist, like you said. This is not new, this concept, but to interview humans of Gestalt.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the humans of Gestalt was connected to humans of New York concept.
Yeah, so this was Heather's idea. I wasn't, yeah, it was exactly, she wanted to borrow that phrase from this project. Exactly.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this project mean to you? What values in you are
Mm-hmm.
warmed by this project?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been changing, and I am now more aware of what it means for me and now. Yeah, I mean, I really like interviewing people. I really like it. I wasn't aware of that even as a sociologist, how much I like it, how much I like to be a host, and and when people come and they may feel, and host them and feel the. And try to feel, try to make them feel welcomed,
Yes.
And show them my curiosity,
Yes.
which is a genuine curiosity, because yeah, I am really interested. People are so different, and Gestalt therapists as well. Well, and with the time, it's becoming well apparent for me that that I'm starting to see those. I mean, that I am either seeing senior therapists, senior practitioners, or people from younger generations who are fairly new to the Gestalt world. And it was interesting for me, and it still is very much, and to discover those differences. Differences. Yeah, I am interested, of course, maybe because I am from this younger generation of how we are different in this sense of what values do we do have, what we want Gestalt to be, Gestalt therapy to be. So it's really like so much exciting that I am now thinking of some other related to humans projects about this generational aspect. So what I'm trying to say is that it is really creative process.
Yes. And I'm hearing research. I'm hearing, phenomenological, but yeah, research in the making.
Yes, yeah, sure.
So this closely follows on. So how has this experience of interviewing so many in the Gestalt community affected you personally and professionally, or personally or professionally? Like, how has it affected you?
Well, I guess personally for me, it helps me to be more connected, open, to feel less fear, because contrary to what it may seem, I am quite. Also, there is part of me which is very shy and easily intimidated. So yeah, it helped me to really be at ease with getting to know people. Yeah, and of course, English here plays a role too, because I had to start using this language, and yes, and try to to express my reactions to what people were saying. Of course, the questions are quite standard, but anyways, there were some different corners we were getting at. So generally, I feel more a part of this world community now, and it really feels good. Yeah, very very much. So this is really my personal process as well. Very much from I wanted to be part, but but I was more in my enduring relational themes of isolating.
Yes.
And so forth.
It's so different, isn't it, to meet so many people, to meet people again. And I've watched many of your interviews, so I'm sort of following your paths, both you and Heather, and how many people you get to speak to, rich experiences. So I was wondering if professionally, even was there some effect upon you as a Gestalt practitioner?
Of course, I was like, I don't know, I wasn't really unbiased with my questions, because I mean, there were those standard questions, but all those sub questions, if I may call it this way, they were purely out of my interests. Mostly theoretical issues, theoretical interests. So I was really feeling like, I don't know, I was receiving so many, I don't know, gifts. I mean, I just, because we have had so many interviews, and I just wish I could, write all those interesting thoughts that I actually got from people I interviewed. They are somewhere in me, but completely out of order.
Yes.
But I've been, curious every time. But at the same time, they were like surprising, and I've been learning new things. And I am now speaking more about even theory, even than practice. But it's this is like something that I easily get excited about. And I'm not speaking here only about senior therapists. These were younger people too, who were, you know, somehow giving themselves right to convey their own ideas around Gestalt, and it was super interesting and important. I guess.
Yes. I'm reminded here that the theory itself is open to growing. And there's something Ruella Frank said recently. You know, this theory
Yes.
is open to openings. And you know, there's a new wave of people being Gestalt trained and taking it their way. It's this little relationship with theory. I share your interest in it. So this leads to the next one. Now, this is a big question, connected a bit like your questions, but what was the most impactful moments that have come through these interviews, and in what ways did it impact you? So are there certain standout moments?
Let me think. I've read the questions you sent, but I wanted to be open to what is emerging more. Impactful. Well, I don't know if this was the most impactful, and it was. I guess maybe I could also find some other moment, but it was important for me to start to interview people from my region. I mean, not only from Poland, but from, you know, from this post-Soviet countries like Kazakhstan, like Belarus, like Ukraine. Well, also, in fact, getting to Europe, back from the United States, Canada, even Australia, New Zealand, coming back home was was a surprise to me, because I discussed it on the phone with Heather one time at one moment, that, oh, you know, it is as if I was so excited about getting to know people from those English-speaking countries, let's call it this way, and then coming back to Europe, felt I was moved. I don't know. I was moved, and even not with the Polish people, because I know them and I am aware of the situation of Gestalt therapy in Poland and all those contexts, and it makes me pleasure to run these interviews, but to get to know people from my neighbors.
Yes.
I don't know, but it was really. I felt home.
Yes.
And I never actually identify myself, collectively speaking, with as a Eastern European, I would even say, and maybe there is some shame around it, perhaps, and this need to aspire, need to, belong to this better world, Western
Eastern
world,
European,
and so on.
exactly. Yes, I mean Western European.
Yeah.
That's lovely. It's reminding me of how I had to go to Europe, and I really got a lot from mixing with people from all different European countries, and I stayed there for about a year or so, and then came back and I started the project of connecting with national members, but from other states that I had never mixed with. And I had a similar experience. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is difference, but it's sameness. It was a closer difference and very rich. It's been a very rich experience. And yeah, I just think connecting is, for us in the Gestalt world, is a really beautiful thing to do. It's just very heartwarming, and it has no purpose beyond the connection. It just is connection then. So I'm really enjoying that myself. Now, what is the impact that you hoped for your audiences? Now, this is a question of not about the interviewee, but for the audience, the YouTube watchers. What was the impact that you hoped for? At all?
Well, that people from different countries can actually get to know each other, even in this mediated form. I don't know how to put it, indirect form, in indirect form. Let me think. Yes, that people from countries that maybe our colleagues, international colleagues, who international trainers don't get so easily, haven't reached their places yet. But so that was one aim. But more general was to form an archive when people could actually go and meet whenever they wish, sort of. And we received those feedbacks very soon after we started that. Even for some known therapists, it was really pleasant for them to see their colleagues and to see them from different perspectives and so on.
Seeing them as humans.
Yes, yes, and also
Good. Well, that brings me to that next thing. So what is the positive and negative feedback that you've received thus far from the project?
It's funny about this negative one, because I really like it. It's that that humans is so positive, so that there is hardly any chance of listening to some critical stance about Gestalt or and yes, and I like it, and I like this perspective because because critique is needed. Our community critique is needed, critical perspective. But personally, for me, coming from this sociology, critical social sciences, where I do it like every day, it's been such a pleasure to be involved in connecting and as you said before, and enjoy it. This world needs a critical stance, but I would say we need genuine connection more. This is my perspective. yeah, so this is something negative. Yeah, and positives are the ones I guess already mentioned. People are really have appreciative, moved. They've been discovering. I mean, in the interviewees themselves, they've been discovering new new things, even about themselves. Sometimes, not even sometimes. It's very often people were moved and surprised where they get at. But this is well, Gestalt definition of contacting, no, that it is creative
Yes.
experience, and even though there are standard questions, there is this connection possible in this Gestalt sense.
Yes.
Hmm.
And there's two sorts of feedback there I'm picking up. Feedback from the interviewees about the experience, what it was like for them, some of the hidden surprises and of pleasure and connection, but also of self coming to self. I mean, hardly anyone ever asks you, who are you? So I found it very therapeutic myself. So there's that impact or that feedback. And then there's the feedback from people who are just viewers. They're not interviewees, but they view a whole lot of different ones. And then the feedback from that position is also, I'm curious if there's any particular feedback about from the viewers.
Yeah, so many of the viewers I have been interviewed already. Yeah, but there were some emails. I've been receiving some emails, not only to humans of Gestalt email, but sometimes to my private email, because people met me at, I don't know, some supervision, international supervision, and they were, oh, was it you? Oh, great! I wanted to thank you for this project. So not many emails I received, but I was surprised that people actually, exactly, the audience take some of their time and devoted it to write me an email saying thank you. Yeah, so this was moving, and but I haven't, and we haven't received these kinds of negative feedback from the audience, I guess. I don't recall myself now. Yeah, which I would, I wonder why not, but yeah, I mean, this is the difference between sociologists and Gestalt therapists.
Yes.
I could very easily receive some critical remarks from my colleagues who are very dear to me. Some not, maybe, but it would be so easy to receive this, and not so easy to receive it from Gestalt colleagues. Yeah, we are more encouraging.
Yes.
Yeah.
Less critical, but yeah, more encouraging. I'm also thinking it's part art, part sociology. This is almost an art form of interviewing and taking the temperature or the picture, taking all these little pictures of now. So it's like art. It's harder to pinpoint all the ramifications or the reverberations of an artwork. It's very different from a sociology project. So how has your understanding of Gestalt theory and practice, how has it been or is being influenced by this project?
So as I said before, I don't know about practice that much. Well, I was definitely aware of how it is to connect with specific people, how easily it gets, and how uh, uh, how, I don't know if difficult, but how yeah, how peculiar it is to be with some other people who are also therapists, but this connection was really strange. I didn't know how to how to be more present, how to be more connected. Um, so I wonder if I felt like in a therapy room, but I was surprised. But I was surprised more about the easiness of connection with specific people I have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It was like from the very beginning there was already some ground. And I ascribed it also to those people, the way they are.
Yes.
Well, as professionals also, as humans, but as professionals. So I guess I'm not aware of specific or of some details of their way of being, but it felt immediately. I felt a difference. And regarding theory, so I will pick it up from what you said a moment ago about being aware that our theory, Gestalt theory, is expanding, is never complete, is we have some ground, but the times are changing, and I was really like eager to hear and to reflect what is that I am hearing, and to understand what it says about theory, about this, what new generation can bring to theory.
To this same theory.
I'm speaking about new generation again because I haven't learned. I mean, I have consolidated maybe my knowledge that I have already had from books, from seminars with those known theorists, Gestalt theorists and practitioners. But it is exciting for me, as I said at the beginning, to explore further with some of my interviewees what this their new interests can bring to Gestalt theory.
Yes, and feedback into that loop. Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. So that's an interesting answer, because it really helped to shape this idea that you felt enlivened by the new, by the theorists in their understanding, new Gestalt theorists, meaning the new generation of Gestalt therapists, and their grasp and their exploration, or even their living of the theory. So what's the next one? This is from my curiosity. What has been any unexpected effect for the global community of Gestalt therapists?
I like it too. When I read it yesterday, so I had an immediate answer to that. It came right from at the beginning, from the outset. So we had planned it well earlier, but the the very launching of the project started when the COVID started.
Yes.
And it was not our intention, but it was the moment when we both could actually proceed.
Mm.
And it was funny because people were, you know, we were, well, the world community were, you remember, it was like we were shocked. We were like locked down. We were under the lockdown. We were not sure what it's going to be. You know, those information from different countries about the rates of people affected, yeah, or by the COVID virus. So. So it's been like not like an antidote,
Yes.
but in a way,
Yes.
I mean,
Like a positive benefit.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. In this
yeah.
time
Uh,
of isolation, in a time of isolation, how come we had this increase in connecting the community globally?
and you surely have been observing that as well, that our connections, I mean online, are indeed increasing these days when we are under the lockdown. I don't want to say that I can see it only as a positive aspect, because I miss you know, direct contact, and I am sometimes fed up and exhausted with Zooms. Yeah, so humans interviews was part of this story, part of this tendency of we started really like interviewing many people, so it was really like a manic experience. I really remember it this way, that okay, I'm seeing this person this day and this, okay. And I've been sitting at home, and it was important for people as well. And I remember, I would like to acknowledge here Heather at this moment, because I remember her writing to on the IAGT listserv that her Zoom will be open, and if someone, when the COVID started, the pandemic started, and if anyone wants to drop in and talk with her, chat with her, she will be, she's open to that. She will welcome anyone from our community, and it was such a beautiful gesture. And I guess that partly humans was similar thing.
Could I bring the word generous in? Generous with your time. Both of you have given your time to the project, which has given something to the global community, are getting to know one another in ways that are so peaceful. Like we're just looking in and watching the interview and then learning so much. I've learned so much. Different people you've interviewed that I only knew them professionally, or I didn't know them at all. And here was another door. Oh, and another door and another door. And so, yeah, I think it's had an effect of connection, effect of no control over that. It's just when people drop in. And I even had a message from John Nkum, because when I heard his interview, I was so moved that I found him on Facebook and sent him a just an appreciative note to say something about it. And this is months later, he sent me a little appreciative note back to me. And so it has this effect. Just even though I never really met him, I thought I did. Oh my goodness. Do you notice any themes emerging from the conversations globally?
An interesting question. Well, I don't know if I could add anything more than I said, but and yet there were for sure such topics. I simply, I guess, concentrated on the ones I already shared with you. Yeah, for instance, about this, the generations. Yeah, it is difficult for me to find like.
There was some.
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about this question about future of Gestalt. How people reacted to that. How important for them this question was. Yeah, and well, and in fact, this is not the same theme, because people were well, they've been answering differently. Some were concerned, some were excited, no matter regardless of age, or culture, and so on. It's but I've been really somehow attentive to this question. Yeah, but you wanted to help me, if I understood it right. You wanted to ask me something.
I was going to say the themes around the garden, themes around welcoming some of the quietude of the isolations. I found that there was quite a number of people mentioning the gardening and the kind of welcoming of the isolation of COVID. That was interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so the very first interviews, for sure, they were around isolation and yes, and getting back to nature in a way. But then with the time, let me think. Then this COVID thing as if faded away. I mean, like it came to the background, or like, and what was figural. Well, when autumn started, or like people were on holidays and so on, but then autumn started, and wow, I'm now interested in this unknown thing for me here. yeah, I mean, because now again, COVID plays a role in the interviews again. And also this political situations.
Elections,
yeah.
governments.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. This leads me to a question that's not on the list, but it's something I've been curious about. Have you noticed a change now that people are being interviewed who've watched many interviews?
Yeah, they are they simply say that they've watched and I watched some of the interviews, and I knew you're gonna ask me this.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I guess it's partly to the former question that I can see that at the beginning it was easier to find people to get them interviewed, and then with the time it started to be I don't know, not so easy. And it's of course it might be connected with where I am now. I don't know, my different maybe things I am now involved in. I am more not that much manic anymore. But it speaks, but it says something about maybe about this what you already asked about, that people already watched so many interviews, and paradoxically they should be more open, but some of them are more intimidated.
Yes, yes, yes.
And this shame plays a role here.
Yes.
And I am very much aware of this difficulty, and some of the interviews are pending now. I mean, they are recorded, but they are pending because people are still reflecting. So apparently there is some, I don't know,
caution.
What's caution? Yes, but because of this kind of mass culture phenomena, I don't know how to call it. You know, media, new technologies, phenomena.
Social media. Yeah.
Social media. Yes, that people are watching. See how many people are have already watched.
Yes.
I mean.
Gosh.
I guess this is something maybe important here. That people, that might be intimidated. And another thing is that back then, when isolation started in early spring, people had more time, and now they are involved in so many project things. You know, people adapted, as I imagine. I'm going to think loud now. Adapted, and they are now in so many things that it's not easy to set up a meeting.
As we found.
Yeah. And that's one thing. And people are meeting at the Zooms all the time now in different Zooms. So like another Zoom meeting. You know, I'm coming from one meeting to another.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I am really appreciating you've got a very different take, and it's this sociological take or flavor that I keep hearing come through. It really shows, almost I can hear you thinking. It's a pleasure to hear, and I'm feeling the difference there. So here I'm going to go to my last question, which is where do you see the future of Gestalt therapy from your vantage point of having reached out and touched so many parts around the globe of people who practice Gestalt therapy? So where do you see the future going from that vantage point, which is so different from, say, my vantage point? Yeah.
Can you can you formulate it in some other way so that I am sure I understand you right?
Yeah. Yes. So from now that you have interviewed many people around the globe in Gestalt therapy, from that position, how do you now answer the question, where do you see the future of Gestalt therapy?
Wow, a nice question. These questions are really elaborated ones. I really appreciate them. It doesn't mean that I'm already able to answer, but very inspiring. Yeah, so again, I will I will start with my idea fix about those generations.
I thought you were going to go there.
So how we are navigating this generational difference because we are trying to navigate many different differences. These days, racism in particular, LGBT, and so on. And what about that? Yeah, exactly. What about that? It has a lot to do with power and privilege and need for dialogue. And awareness of those differences, because because the same I've been observing for a while the same processes as with all those intersectional issues that people don't want to acknowledge that very much. They think that easy adaptations are enough, will be enough. Like, for instance, welcoming people at the AGM of some organizations, welcoming new young people. So, and this is also important because from different interviewees, and I've been hearing I've been hearing this type of answer to my question about the future of Gestalt. It's up to you now. We've done a lot. We have done a lot. I feel old now, and it's in your hands now. It wasn't aggressive. No, it was like something like that.
Passing the torch.
Okay, but we need some. Once again?
Passing the torch.
Say again?
The model of passing the torch. And you felt that through the interviews. All right. this is interesting because I'm hearing two threads here. One, almost a revolution is required. There's a revolution or a destructuring that is required, and those that can hear this loudly are the new young Gestalt people, not the older members of the community. That there is a revolution, sociological, social identity revolution that needs to be have the awareness, acceptance, and action applied to areas that have not been looked deeply, increased awareness, sense of difference, and those things. So I'm hearing that that's exciting me, that you have experienced this real difference in the generations. And I personally only have come to Gestalt as an older person, but I'm a new Gestalt. So I'm not an old Gestalt person. I'm an old person hanging out with new Gestalt people. And so I can feel these two flavors that you're talking about.
Yes.
And I'm very alive and interested in this revolution, in a sense, this new revolution, which is a social identity revolution. So I think it's I think it's very powerful.
I like. Can I respond quickly to that?
Yes.
Because I like this idea of social identity, as you put it. I would like at the same time acknowledge, because there is some ignorance here, typical for all those, power related phenomenon. But at the same time, there is some understanding too, and from those more experienced practitioners, and that's why I'm speaking about dialogue. And you said passing a torch, which is a nice phrase. Because we need mentors.
Yes.
Yet, in my opinion, humble to hear us.
Yeah, nicely said. Yeah, very nicely said. You need mentors humble enough to hear you. Reminds me of what good parenting of adult children is like. They still need you, but you need to listen to them. So this reminds me of that. All right. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add about your experience that I haven't asked you?
No, I feel so enriched already and full, like after the good dinner. I have eaten, I've drank, and I don't know, and I would like you to send me a recipe. I meant by that I really enjoy it, and I've learned something, and I discovered something which is helpful for me. So if it is possible that I could have this interview for my future purposes.
Yes.
Because some of the ideas might again evaporate, and
I'll just send you the video. Beautiful.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I've really, it's been a slow, gentle delight to spend time with you. And come alive, feel alive. There's something alive here. So thank you for giving me your time. Yeah, and I shall send it to you as soon as it's made into a MP4. I'll send it to you, and I send it to the editor of GANZ as well.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. Yeah.